The show opened like any other night, with bright lights and roaring applause as Mark Wahlberg entered the stage on Stephen Colbert's. Late night set his presence commanded attention, a blend of swagger and seriousness that audiences had come to expect over the years. Colbert greeted him with the usual warmth and wit. Eager to get into the stories behind Wahlberg's newest action film, the two began with the familiar rhythm of jokes, laughter, and anecdotes about workouts, stunts, and his intense schedule. But beneath the polished smiles, there was a flicker of tension barely visible. At first, lingering behind Wahlberg's sharp glances and clipped replies, Colbert shifted the conversation toward politics and Hollywood's role in public discourse, referencing recent comments Wahlberg had made in an interview about celebrities staying in their lane. The question was delivered with Colbert's trademark smirk. But the mood changed instantly. Wahlberg leaned forward. His tone cooled, and he replied that he was tired of being told when and how to speak about things that mattered to him. He emphasized that being an actor did not disqualify him from having an opinion. The audience chuckled nervously, unsure whether it was a joke or the start, if something more serious, trying to keep the moment light. Colbert doubled down, making a quip about the irony of someone from Transformers lecturing the public on serious issues. Wahlberg sat back, his smile gone, and said coldly, "Yeah, because people, like you, are the gatekeepers, right? You get to decide who is allowed to speak." The room went silent. Colbert's eyebrows rose ever so slightly, caught off guard by the directness he tried to pivot into a different topic, but Wahlberg interrupted again, calling out what he said was the media elite, mocking anyone who steps outside the Hollywood script. Wahlberg began a mini monologue about hypocrisy in the entertainment industry, saying people pretend to care about causes while sitting in comfortable studios, judging those who actually try to speak up. He said it was easy to make jokes when you never leave the bubble. His tone was not shouting, but steady and angry. The crowd listened intently, unsure whether to clap or cringe. Colbert tried to throw in a laugh to cut the tension, but it only made Wahlberg shake his head with visible frustration. He asked why real conversations had to be framed as punchlines just to keep audiences comfortable, as Colbert attempted to bring things back to Wahlberg's movie. The actor refused to go along. Instead, he questioned the entire premise of the interview, asking if he was invited on to actually talk or just be mocked subtly for his beliefs. Colbert insisted it was all in good fun, but Wahlberg was no longer smiling. He stood up, removed his mic, and said, "Maybe next time invite someone you're willing to actually listen to before walking off stage without another glance." The studio fell into an awkward hush, unsure what had just happened, but fully aware it was something real and raw. Behind the scenes, chaos erupted. Producers scrambled to fill the airtime, while assistants rushed to confirm whether Wahlberg had left the building or was simply cooling off, backstage sources later said. He walked straight out, ignoring calls from publicists and staff members. Security followed at a distance to ensure things remained calm. But Wahlberg reportedly did not look back once the live audience sat in stunned silence as Colbert returned. After a break, offering only a vague statement about strong opinions and mutual respect, before switching to a musical guest in an attempt to salvage the energy of the show. The internet exploded before the credits even rolled clips of the confrontation, dominated social media with hashtags like Wahlberg walkoff and Mark versus Colbert trending. Immediately fans and critics took sides, some praising Wahlberg for standing firm, others mocking his sensitivity and questioning his motives. Discussions erupted about whether the show had gone too far or whether Wahlberg had simply overreacted. Think pieces surfaced within hours dissecting the dynamics of the exchange, the line between comedy and condescension, and what happens when unscripted emotion breaks through the gloss of late-night television. News outlets replayed the footage, repeatedly analyzing Wahlberg's tone, expression, and body language, while debating whether the walkout was planned or spontaneous. Neither side issued detailed statements. Beyond brief mentions of creative tension and differing perspectives, Wahlberg posted a single message on his social media, a quote about silence not always being weakness. Fans interpreted it as a subtle confirmation that he felt ambushed on the by show. Colbert, meanwhile, carried on business as usual, but avoided direct mention of the incident for several episodes, clearly hoping to let the fire burn out without fueling it further. In Hollywood circles, the moment triggered wider conversations about control and authenticity. In media spaces, some actors reportedly reconsidered appearances on late-night shows, fearing being baited for viral moments rather than respected for their work. Insiders said networks began quietly reviewing how interviews were prepared and how far hosts could push. Before guests walked away entirely, others argued that these clashes reflected a broader cultural tension between curated personas and real voices breaking free of public relations filters, especially when those voices refused to play the polished game weeks. Later, the clip continued to circulate as a symbol of raw discomfort, unfiltered and unpolished. Mark Wahlberg had disrupted the carefully choreographed dance of late-night television. And regardless of where people stood on his message, they remembered the walkout more than any scripted promo or punchline. He had exited on his own terms, maybe angry, maybe misunderstood, but undeniably real, and in a media landscape built on performance. That single unscripted moment carried more weight than 1,000 rehearsed monologues. The studio lights dimmed that night, not because the show ended, but because something unexpected had finally broken through.